Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video we are going to be replacing the clutch plates on a Suzuki JR50 motor. This particular motor is from a 1994 Suzuki JR50, but the process should be generally the same for many of the years that this motorcycle was produced. So to start, we just want to remove the clutch cover cap. There's 6 screws that will allow us to take that off. A little tip here is I've already taken these screws off once, but if you're having trouble getting them to break free, I like to use an impact drill to remove the screws. Not put them back on, but it does make it easier to remove the stuck screws with the impact. Then we can take that cap off. And from there, the next step is going to be removing the clutch plate, clutch bearing, and clutch pressure plate. So there are 3 bolts that hold this assembly in place. We'll just take those out. Once you have those loose and on their way out, you'll just want to make sure that you keep them as an assembly like this. There's a bolt, there's a spacer, and there's a spring. Just make sure that those go back in the same way that they came out. And from there you can take off that clutch plate. Underneath that is the clutch bearing. Make sure that the bearing doesn't fall off and that all of the bearing looks good and doesn't need to be replaced. And finally, the clutch pressure plate. Once we have all those out, we'll move to the 8 screws that hold on the clutch cover. Keep in mind when you're taking these off that there are 5 different screw lengths, so just make sure that you keep them in order and put each screw back where it came from. After you get those 8 screws out, we need to remove the kickstarter stopper bolt that's on the top left here. And once this bolt is removed, we should be able to take off the clutch cover. Once the clutch cover is off, just make sure that you don't lose those locating dowels on the case itself, and we can remove the circlip that holds the clutch sleeve hub in place. Once that's out, we can remove our clutch plates, check them for wear. Don't lose those springs that are in between the clutch plates, and we can begin to install our new clutch plates. I like to lube them up with some of the motor oil that's going to be going into the engine, and just put them in the same order that they came back out. Once you have that reassembled, you can reinstall the circlip. Reuse or add a new gasket onto the crankcase. Make sure that all of the mating surfaces are clean. Reinstall your 8 clutch cover bolts or screws. These don't have a torque specification in the manual, so I torqued mine down to about 7 or 8 foot-pounds. Now reinstall your clutch pressure plate, your clutch bearing, and your clutch plate. Reinstall your clutch plate bolts with the springs and spacers. Again, there was no torque specification I could find on these bolts, so I ran them down to 10 foot-pounds. After that, you can reinstall the kickstart stopper bolt. Keep in mind that if you've moved that Kickstarter, that bolt might be stopping the kickstart in the wrong place. And once you have your kickstart lever on, you might need to rotate it around, testing to see where that spring will catch and return your Kickstarter back to where it should be. Moving back over to the clutch, apply a new gasket, put on the cover cap, and put on your 6 bolts. Again, I tightened these down to 7 or 8 foot-pounds. And with that done, you should be good to go.